Welcome to Two Chairs, the conversation that explores issues of real life and offers real help to those in need. Capital Area Human Services proudly presents this program as a public service and invites you to pull up a chair and join us for the conversation. Welcome to Two Chairs, the conversation. In this episode, we're going to be talking about school-based therapy and how helpful it can be for children and for families. And we're in a special place for me. It was 57 years ago that I actually was here at Greenbrier Elementary School as a student. I attended here from 2nd to the 6th grade from 1962 to 1966. And even have my report cards that my mom saved. And it's just been a real trip down memory lane, driving in here, seeing my school again, and not having been here in so long, which it's just a welcoming experience to come back here. Everybody's very friendly. And speaking of two friendly people, I'd like to introduce our special guests, Bethany Sclafani and Monique Carter. Bethany is the program director for Capital Area Human Services School-Based Behavioral Health Program, and Monique Carter is actually a therapist here at Greenbrier, and so it's a pleasure to welcome you and talk with you today about your program. So Bethany, let's hear a little bit about the program overall in the 6 parishes that we serve.
We're in 18 schools across 6 parishes throughout the capital area region. We provide individual, group, and family therapy. Most of what we provide, though, is called CPST, which is a community psychiatric support and treatment, which allows us to go into the classroom and work with students there. We can help them in the moment when they're struggling, help them stay on task, help them de-escalate. We do pull students out of class often, but a lot of what we do is right there in the moment when they need the services.
So Monique, you actually, I got the impression that I would be called to, instead of to the principal's office, I might be called to your office, at which I get is a nice place to be. You help me and you talk to me and you counsel me if I'm in trouble in school or something like that. So as I understand it, you actually would go into a classroom, which is interesting and unique to me. I'm not familiar with that. So how does that work?
So sometimes if the kid is having a meltdown or just having a hard time, I might get a text from a teacher or a call from the office, and they'll ask me to go to a classroom just to sit with the kid or maybe bring them out, take them for a walk so they can kind of refocus and get back to what they need to do.
What are some of the issues that you see across the region that students are dealing with that cause them to have a behavioral issue?
There's widespread trauma from different issues, a lot of anxiety, depression, grief, that covers the whole gamut.
So pretty much whatever happens in life. I mean, sometimes we lose a grandparent, we lose parents. Children go through a lot that we may or may not realize. Monique, what are some of the things that you experience on a daily basis? What is your typical day?
So typically I'll see about 4 to 5 kids in a day, but the issues do vary. It might be anxiety with one kid. It could be defiance with another kid. It might be some transition adjustment stuff, like if a child was living with parents and then maybe a parent passed away and they had to go move and be with a grandmother. So sometimes it's adjustment issues too.
Mm-hmm. And what about access? How do people access these great services? Bethany, let's talk about it.
Well, if they're in a school that we work in, they're able to contact the social worker or counselor directly to get a referral. Oftentimes people will call our office, though, seeking services, and if their child is not in one of our schools, we're able to refer them to Children's Behavioral Health on Colonial, so they can still get services there. And
we're in 18 schools throughout the area. How does therapy differ for elementary schools or middle schoolers? Monique, you said you worked at a middle school before, and high schools. How does it differ as children age?
So I feel like techniques have to be a little different. You kind of have to cater them to the kid and what they're comfortable with. Like little kids, it's more social skills, modeling, appropriate behavior. For middle school kids, it's more of talking, like talk therapy, definitely some cognitive behavior therapy to help them understand how their thoughts and behaviors and feelings kind of work together.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to add about the program? I know one of the things we wanted to talk about was cost. How does someone pay for these services?
We're able to bill their insurance. A lot of our clients have Medicaid. If they don't, we're able to also provide services according to a sliding fee scale if necessary. And we can, in many cases, also bill private insurance. Okay. So it's usually at no cost to the family or very little cost.
Bethany, I'm not a trained professional like you are, clinical social worker, Monique. Parents don't know the science and what to look for. What are some things that parents can look for that would give them an indication that their children need some help?
Yeah, well, parents are the expert in their children, so they definitely should trust their instincts. We suggest that you look for any changes in your child's behavior. Challenges sleeping, eating, just having difficulty with their normal everyday activities. If you have an outgoing child that's suddenly very withdrawn, just noticing those changes. Sometimes they're subtle, but as a parent, you usually have an instinct on that. So you should seek professional help.
And Monique, we talked about you sometimes going into the classroom, sometimes you help a student in your office. And we know what you do to help our children. What do you do to help families?
So we do offer family sessions, especially if there's some issues going on at home and the parents want to come in and talk about it. We can do family sessions. I also send information home, sometimes just tips that parents can use, or I'll call a parent, just kind of talk to them about progress, how their kid has been doing, changes they've noticed at home, or if they're having any issues and how we can, kind of move forward together in helping their child.
Bethany, program-wise, what are some of the results you've seen? How are children helped? How are families helped? What's the practical result of the services we provide?
Through working with school-based behavioral health, we've been able to see a reduction in suspensions. We also attend expulsion hearings when our clients are up for expulsion. And about 20 times last year, students were able to come back to school and they were given a second chance because we attended the hearing and the officer agreed that school-based behavioral health works and they wanted the child to continue instead of expelling them from school. So we're really proud of that.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we talk to some other folks?
I just feel like it's a really good program. I feel like the kids have extra support at school. It lessens the teacher having to stop class to address behavior or them having to go to the principal office. So I feel like it's a really good program.
Yeah. I get the impression that you get up every day and you enjoy what you do. You look forward
Absolutely.
to it. What motivates you every day?
Making a difference in the lives of children in their environment. The research all shows that if you could interact with them right there where they're having the issue, it's a more teachable moment, and that's what we want to see.
And Monique, I think that your hope is that you don't have to be called, that the children don't experience these issues, but when they do, you're there for them.
Yeah, being able just to see progress from one year to the next, because some kids I have from as early as kindergarten until they leave, maybe in third, fourth, or fifth grade. Mm-hmm. So it's just great to be able to watch them transform, actually use the skills that we talk about and see that it's making a difference with them. Good.
Well, I appreciate you both being here. In our next segment, we're going to talk with two other special guests who are recipients of the services and the benefits they provide. I'm smiling because when I was in the 6th grade here, I didn't get a good conduct grade. I might have been a candidate for your program. You might have had to come into my classroom, but there was a little notation for my poor conduct grade that year, that 6 weeks talks. Yeah. And so maybe I'm in the appropriate profession for what my conduct said at the time. But we'll be right back for our next segment. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
In this segment of Two Chairs, The Conversation, we'll be talking with beneficiaries, recipients of the services of school-based therapy. And one of the things I was smiling about as I was going through preparing for this visit at Greenbrier is I found report cards my mom had saved. And I'm noting here that my grades were pretty good, but my conduct had something to be desired. I have with me Angela Robertson, who's the assistant principal here at Greenbrier Elementary School, and a parent, Kiana, goes by Q, Holmes. And we'll be talking with them about how the school-based therapy program helps students and helps you as an administrator. But I do want to show you that I don't know if I might have been called to your office, but that is not a good conduct grade in the third 6 weeks.
No.
And what does that say right there?
Talking.
Maybe I went into the right profession after all. I don't know, but yeah, I had a lot of fun in school. I enjoyed being here. I was an only child, and so coming to school for me was a great time. You got to be around people, and of course for me, it was like just a motivation. And so I was called to the principal's office a couple of times, I have to admit. Back when I went to Greenbrier, it was all rural. There was only one neighborhood next to us. We were told not to feed the horses. There were horses literally that lived on a pasture back behind us. Of course, a boy and horses, it's just going to be hard to keep away. So a whole flock of us went back there and fed the horses, and we got called to the principal's office. And but those were little innocent things, and I know that we're dealing with things that are quite serious when we talk about children and issues that they face. And so I'd like to ask you, from your experience, from the staff and also from a teaching experience, how has the program helped and what results have you seen?
Well, what happens is, I want to say this first, that although I am an administrator here, I'm also a licensed therapist, licensed counselor. And so what happens is, by Capital Area being here and me having the background as well, it supports the staff in helping them understand what's going on with the students. So what happens is I'm able to connect with our licensed social worker, and before she may even get that student, we've talked about what may be going on, right? So it's helped a lot where we're able to have interventions versus automatically going on that there's a behavioral issue here. It's like we get a chance to really dig deep to find out what's really going on with our student, and now we can have an intervention not only with the student but also get a chance to talk to the parent, where now we're helping the student eliminate what's going on with them, where they cannot be able to, where they're not able to actually hone in academically, such as you were. You had the talking. They may not be able to hone in academically because of some other things that are happening. So we're running intervention. So having Capital Area here has been wonderful for not only the students, but it supports the staff and administration as well.
And Ms. Holmes, your son has been a recipient of the services. What are some of the results you've seen? What are some of the issues that he was dealing with, and how has it been helpful for you?
So my son always struggled with emotional regulation and being able to control his reactions to things. He usually had what I later figured out was meltdowns when it came to situations not going his way. So being able to be here and have services in school, because I can't hover while he's in class, he gets redirection while he's in school, and he's getting coping mechanisms on how to redirect his energy, and also to understand to not take it so personal or internalized when something happens and it's not his way. And then I also get to follow up with his counselor and piggyback off what she taught him and try to see if he's modeling that at home, because he has two little siblings. They tend to get on his nerves because he's the oldest and they want to be just like him, but also help him understand to regulate his emotion and his responses when it comes to them, because they're looking up to him and they're going to mirror his responses.
And when we were talking earlier with Monique Carter and Bethany Scafani about the services and how families are helped. What kind of information have you received that helps you help your son?
I'm learning about his mood and how to better support when those moods are happening. I'm getting like different things that I never would have thought of, because the one thing as a parent is I didn't want to try to correct the behavior by teaching him the wrong technique, and then it set off a different or negative behavior. So when I get feedback from the social worker and I know, well, that was the wrong way to correct his behavior because it wouldn't have done well in a social setting in the classroom versus at home. So it's being able to correct the behavior without looking so much as in home, but what would fit like in the classroom and the expectations that he needs to meet inside the classroom.
Ms. Robertson, it's often said that parental involvement in schools is most helpful, and we've heard from Ms. Holmes and her family. How has this program helped you deal with families and involve families in helping their children?
It's actually, it has been an amazing asset to our school. We have no problems with parental involvement in every area of our school, but when it comes to the area of mental health, let's just be very honest, a lot of our families may feel intimidated by the term mental health. So that still could have a negative connotation to families. But them being very involved in their students' lives, we're able to have conversations about the processes and educating them on that part of the mental health asset. So it has really supported us in having conversations on not only how it will help and benefit their child or children, but how it benefits the family as a whole. So we're looking at the whole family and not just that one child.
And your background as a therapist yourself, and as an educator, that liaison to be able to understand how does that work in your daily work to help the teachers, the families? I would think that's a great benefit.
It has been a great benefit for me, for sure. It's been a great benefit for our teaching staff, because a lot of teachers, now we remember that we all have to go home. We're all dealing with our own issues or situations that may come up in life as well. And so if our teachers are struggling with a student that may be what they may see as a behavior issue, I'm able to go in and do some one-on-one with them as well, to bring them back to balance, to say, hey, they may start saying what they're going through, right? And so having them to get to balance and then seeing the situation in a different light supports them tremendously. We're able to do a lot of the techniques with our teachers during our professional development of what Ms. Carter is doing with the students in her therapy session. So as little as breathing, taking a breath, doing some imagery work with them, and then reminding them that we all may have a challenging day, or we all may have a challenging situation. And so just bringing them back to balance, and understanding that the student may be going through something more difficult than what they're presenting. So that's been a true benefit for our staff.
Good. Ms. Holmes, we have heard about, and you talked about, Ms. Robinson, about sometimes what's called a stigma of mental health. Was there any kind of barrier for you seeking help? Did you go through any kind of, I'm uncomfortable with this? What if people find out? How does your family feel? How did you approach this?
I think because I also work for a virtual school for the whole state, and I got to interact with my families prior to my son, because I started when my son was born. So getting to interact and hear other parents' stories, it kind of helped me kind of change my thought process and looking at it. So as he grew up and I saw things, it wasn't as much as a barrier. It was, now I know, because I've listened to other parents' sob stories and heard trauma stories and this and that, and then I've seen so many parents be proactive for their students, so it helped shape me and let me know how proactive I could be. And it also helped me give common awareness as it came to my son, and as he grew and looking at signs and stuff, to say, you know what, maybe I might want to see about getting some help with him.
And what would be your counsel for other families?
Don't let anybody brush it off. I've started my journey with my son at 2.5, and almost every time people will say, oh, he's a normal child. And it's if that's your instinct and you feel something is off, or you just have a question, you'd rather have it investigated and turn out to be false than to leave it alone. So just always ask questions and advocate for your child. I tell my friends and I let my sons know it's my job to advocate for you until you're old enough to advocate for yourself. So I just make it a mission to always speak up for him until he's old enough to speak up for himself, and hopefully I taught him well enough to speak up for himself.
Right. Ms. Robertson, what would be your counsel for families and educators?
Well, my counsel, and I love what you said. It's self-educating, right? Educating yourself and being able to just stop and listen to maybe perhaps just sound advice, and maybe it not be advice, but it more of listening to experts of what could be happening. And again, it's not just for your student, because if the student is going through something, that means perhaps the parent may be going through something, or they may have gone through something. However, that particular child is experiencing it very differently than you experienced it. So I always talk to the parents about if something happened with the whole family, each person receives it and experiences it very differently. They process it very differently. And I just start educating them from that standpoint. A lot of people may not open up, but when I start talking about it from that standpoint, and they'll say, oh yeah, something, this happened, or let's go all the way back to 2016 flood. That happened. And so I said, that child was this age at that time. They receive and experience something, and that's their way of processing, and they don't know how to explain or express that. And so perhaps you've moved on, because guess what, as a parent, you have to move on. You may have to make sure that your kid your family is being taken care of, your kid is safe. However, that child has not processed whatever has happened. A divorce, we talk about a death. They may not have processed it healthy. And so now this is their only way of saying, I'm hurting. And so my advice is let's listen to them. Let's see what they're saying. Let them write it out. Let them draw what they're feeling. Those things, there are some techniques. And then once their brain allows them to process it that way, then we'll see what's really going on. Because there may be something I'm thinking or the parent is thinking, but that's not what the child is being bothered with. It could be something that someone said to them on the playground that bothered them, and they just don't know how to process it, right? So that's my advice. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a healthy conversation where we're building trust with each other, and then we all start opening up about, hey, what's really going on.
Before we close, I want to ask you about the real results you've seen here at Greenbrier. Because of the therapy sessions and because of the help offered to the students. What have you seen in the real world that has been the benefit or the benefits of this program?
True results. I've seen kids learn how to self-advocate or self-express. This is how I'm feeling. I don't know why I'm feeling this way. So that's real. At one time, they may have been, crying or screaming or throwing a tantrum, or just having a panic attack. And now that child is at least verbalizing, this is where I am. And I want to be I'm very transparent. It doesn't happen overnight. It is a work in progress. So Mrs. Carter, myself, and all our teachers are working really hard to make sure what we're seeing from Cam and some of our other students happens, right? So what we're seeing in the benefits is that we do have an outlet. That's what's real good. We don't have to say, they're gonna, they're seeing their therapist this week or whatever. Ms. Carter is right there. She's here right now. If she's not able to, we all may be boots on the ground. She, our counselor, and myself, boots on the ground at any given time. And so that type of support in the school is amazing. And the thing is, we have to know that it exists, and we have to know how to use it. That's the big thing. It's like in our school systems, sometimes we don't understand. Some schools may not understand that level of support and how to use it. Once we understand what's there and how to use it, it benefits the entire system. So.
Well, I want to thank you both for being with us today. I've enjoyed my reunion here at Greenbrier.
Thank you for being back.
The school is obviously well served with you and Ms. Holmes and your son and his experience here. I hope will be as wonderful as mine was. It's been nice to come home. And I brought some photographs and shared with you, and maybe they'll go in your archives. They're old enough. They're old enough for sure. Yeah, but I want to thank you for your hospitality and coming home.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you
so much. Thank you.
And thank you for watching Two Chairs the Conversation. Join us again next time, and we'll see you then.
Capital Area Human Services offers behavioral health therapy for children in 18 schools in 6 local parishes. If you'd like to learn more about the school-based behavioral health program, visit our website, realhelpbr.com, to see the schools we are in and also phone numbers where you can call and get information. If we are not in your school, we still have a program through our Children's Behavioral Health Clinic, and we can help you navigate and get the services you and your family need.